All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome. I'm your host and pilot, Uncle B. Welcome to today's Microsoft Flight Simulator live stream. We are in the Cessna 172, leg 3 of our tour of Route 66. Parts of the from where we landed last time here in St. Louis, Missouri. We're still in Missouri. We and I've got the history that website that has like the color coding of where the different layouts of Route 66 were over the years. There is parts where it's kind of complete. I believe this is Route 66, maybe here. No, that doesn't look like it. It would be somewhere else. But anyway, it may share that same roadway. I don't know. But anyway, we're gonna fly along. We're passing over, kind of near. Actually, we will be passing over. This is Fort Leonard Wood. Now the name has changed. Apparently, I don't know what the new name is. We called it Fort Lost in the Woods in the state of Missouri. So we'll just call it Fort Lost in the Woods. How about that? So we do have story time once we're in the air and heading this direction here towards Waynesville, St. Robert Regional. I did not know. I never knew that there's an actual town called St. Robert here. Did not know that. So, but the story starts, oddly enough, here in St. Louis. When I arrived, morning Joseph, good morning Fish Guns. When I arrived here for basic and AIT at Fort Lost in the Woods, while we're waiting, I will say that when I walked outside the airport, now I'd been in humid weather before, visiting in Alabama, but when you walk outside and it hits you, and it's not like, we had to wait for some time until they had everybody there that was supposed to be, going to basic there at Fort Leonard Wood, Fort Lost in the Woods. So there wasn't a lot of places to hang out. So you were kind of forced to sit outside, and that humidity, it hits you like a brick, to be honest. But we'll pick up the story after we're in the air. We're just waiting to see if anybody's going to want to pop in and fly today. If not, it's quite all right. So I have two stories about my time at Fort Lost in the Woods. And then we're going to land here in Springfield. Now, Branson, Missouri, which is this airport serves Springfield / Branson, is a huge tourist destination. I think Branson is which way? There's Springfield. Springfield itself is a pretty big destination. I think they have one of the largest. Well, they had. I don't know if what all is still there, but they had one of the largest malls in America here in Springfield, Missouri. So yeah, they had a quite a. But yeah, but Branson itself is a huge touristy sort of destination. There's the Ozark. There's Ozark. Well, that's the town of Ozark, not the Ozarks. A lot of fishing and hunting in these areas. Oh, there's Branson. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, a lot of people come here for boating, fishing, hunting, stuff like that. Uh, yeah, pretty big touristy sort of place. So that looks like a couple hours from Springfield. Driving, maybe. So yeah, a lot of mountainy areas, but but it's hot and humid during the summer. It gets very cold during the winter. Not as cold as it does in Kansas because at least in many areas of Missouri, you've got the mountains, and so you don't get that wind chill factor coming in. So got some time. We'll sit here and wait if anybody's got any questions or whatever. Let me sip some coffee and we'll talk about Sim Update 10. So, Sim Update 10 was released yesterday morning at about 11. It seems like everything's fine. Now, I went through and checked a bunch of different aircraft, some that I hadn't been in quite some time. Uh, the French trainer jet now has the electronic flight bag now has maybe it had it and I just never really noticed, but now it has an autopilot option so that you don't have to worry about trying to fly hands free in that thing. So you can set a course and away you go. But yeah, a lot of stuff started up fine. So yeah, it seems like everything's okay. So that's good news. Although I think on the PC side, there's been some issues with using if you put your flight plan together like in Navigraph or something, it wasn't populating over correctly or something like that, and that's a known issue. So I'm sure they're working on a fix for that. What else? Yeah, all kinds of good stuff. So yeah, it seems pretty stable. Seems like it's good. I don't know. I can't. Well, I did kind of look around. Uh, Clouds look a lot better, I think, but that's subject to interpretation. What some people might think, what I might think is fine, other people were like, nah, no, it's not that good. So I don't know. It was a big update. Like I had to remove Trains from World 3 from my hard drive on my Xbox Series S in order to make room to make sure I had enough room for all the updates. So, so yeah, that took a little bit of time, but things seem to be okay. So I think we're fine for the near future. Um, yeah. So I think so this is basically the route. We're going to take off from runway 29. We're going to hang a left, head down here towards Fort Lost in the Woods, and then continue on to Springfield. We're going to land on runway 2. I checked the weather. This is the preferred landing direction, so we should have no problems landing. So yeah. Oops. I never understand why this sign disappears. It's like it won't. I don't know. There we go. Yeah, it doesn't want to stay. Oh well, that's fine. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and pop on over to the runway. And but there's the anybody comes in, there's server, and there's the route. Now those are all commands. Other people, you can type it in yourself. It's the standard. Most everybody has it set up like that. So. But I am. so let's do a couple things here. We need to make sure all of our lights are on. I think they are. Strobe. Oh, we're only going to get up to about 3,000 feet. I forgot to mention that. Let's get this set up. Oops. All right, so we're going to tune into that. It's a VOR. It's not a VOR DME or Vortac. It's oops. All right, so that's all done. So yeah, this is the new. This is now the de facto G1000. Setup. Oh, it's already at 10 nautical miles. Nice. Okay, so I don't. That's the new. It's automatically set that way. Nice, nice, nice. Oh, we'll put a little bit of gas in the tank. Hello, Jody. Hello, Mick. All right. All right. I think that'll should have enough fuel there. So I have clear skies set, but there's still this kind of a hazy layer up above, which is fine. We're not gonna, that's like way up there. So, but we'll be fine. So we'll wait a few more minutes just in case anybody wants to pop in last minute. But yeah, this looks fantastic. The G1000. Because from what I understand, working titles who designed all this stuff, they this is as close. This is what you would see if you were actually in a plane with the G1000 system. If you had the NXI, the most recent software, I guess, avionics software. But yeah, it looks fantastic. I think it gives you, if you were a real pilot, you could discern all this information and know exactly how you can use that information to your benefit. Whether it's the different air spaces, the nav points, airports. There's all kinds of stuff there that we don't have. What was the heading on this? It was. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Pardon me a second, folks. Just gonna. Two, 3, 6. All right, so we need to have our heading. 304. We need to have that lined up, and then that way we know which way to turn. Okay. Two, 3, 6. All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and get going. So sit tight, Joseph, or we'll have the rest of our story time once we're heading towards Fort Lost in the Woods. I thought I saw a car just pass over in front of the... Alright, let's go on a heading 236, I think it was. Yep, 236. Alright, so long, Screwy, see you in St. Louis, as Bugs Bunny used to say. Alright, so, no, I'm fine. What happens, Mick, is because of my exposure to burn pits and other stuff, I have like post-nasal drip every morning when I get up. So I'm congested, but not like having a cold congested. It's just, miserable because it does impact my voice a lot of times as well. So it just, yeah, it sucks. So, because the way that they think that I've basically developed like adult asthma, developed asthma as an adult, I should say. So yeah, it's a very... So yeah, I had to go see somebody up at the hospital there in Syracuse for an appointment about that. So they're considering it what they call a presumptive condition. So President Biden signed a law basically saying that anybody who comes in with these conditions there won't be any like long waiting decision process. It's like, okay, we're going to say that you got this because of this, and but we have to wait for the funding. The money may not be won't be approved until January next year. So my claim has been submitted, but they said if we have to wait for the money to be approved so that we can get paid, basically. Go figure. So yeah, that's that. Anyway, so picking up the story. So I arrive at St. Louis to go to Fort Lost in the Woods for basic training. I did what they call OSUT training, one site unit training, or one station unit. Basically, you're there for your entire time. You go through basic and your advanced training for your whatever job you picked in the military. It saves them money transportation-wise, so that you get all the training in one spot. You don't have to go anywhere else. And we kept the same drill sergeants the entire time. Well, there was a few that were new that came in that had just graduated drill sergeant school, but we had predominantly everybody was the same. We had the same drill sergeants throughout the entire time we were there. Um, so we get there, and it doesn't matter what time you arrive, or at least maybe it does now, but at least when I went through, we got there late at night, right? And guess what? We're going to start in processing into the Army. You had all these documents you had to fill out, sign a bunch of stuff. You had to sign a little postcard and put your whoever you wanted to send it to your mom, your aunt, uncle, grandparents, whoever, saying, I made it to Fort Lost in the Woods and I'm fine. And they collect them all up and they just mail them out, so that because you're not going to have time for a bit to write or call home. So they made that so that, because people would get there and family members would never know, did they make it? Are they okay? Kind of thing. So basically, we go through this reception program, and you get your haircut, you get your uniforms, and all that, and then eventually your training unit will come and get you, and that's when things really start to hit home that you are now in the military, right? So the whole yelling as soon as you get off the bus, and you have to dump everything and hold it up, and all this other stuff, and you have to put everything, it's like it's chaotic, and you're nervous because this is something you've never experienced in your life. So anyway, they so we go through all that, right? Now, in basic training, they have usually a schedule, right? It's a tried and true schedule that the drill sergeants have used for quite some time. They have a plan in place to get you through, teach you how to be a soldier and everything, and then building upon that each day. Well, when we got there, there was a big change of command that we had to be a part of. And change of command ceremonies, if you are out in the crowd, it sucks, because you're standing there, right? And you're standing there and you're standing there. You can't move. You're not supposed to, you can move a little bit. They say you can wiggle your toes, right? What people would do, once they figured out what to do, you lock your knees, and then eventually you pass right out. And so then everybody goes like, and then somebody's got to come in there, drag them out back and behind the formation. If there's a medic there, usually there should be, a couple medics. Some medics will check him out and go like, okay, he's fine, or maybe he's got heat exhaustion or whatever. Let's get him somewhere cool, and that kind of stuff. But anyway, so they have to teach us basically drill and ceremony very quickly, which is it's not easy for people who've never marched. If you were like in bands, or like in high school or whatever, usually you had a marching band, and so you kind of understood the concept of staying in step, right? Because it looks more professional if everybody appears to be stepping off at the same time, and people get all tender about that sort of stuff. So we had to learn to march as a large formation, which is not easy, because depending on where you were in the formation, either you slowed your pace down so that you had like this wheel effect, and then the whole formation turns, and then you move on, right? Guard fainted, yeah. So it's not easy. And so there was this one day, and I think we'd been doing this for maybe not even a week, right? And the drill sergeants had a tough sort of, it's not easy because normally it's something we would kind of gradually work our way into, right? They would have had time to teach us all this stuff at a slower pace so that we could practice more and there wouldn't be this sense of haste, right? So this one guy, and I don't remember his name. I used to remember it because I love telling this story, but I don't remember it anymore. But anyway, this guy, we're up. It's middle of the day. Now we didn't have Kevlar helmets at the time. It basically only had this what they called the steel pots, which is the old Vietnam era head, your headgear, for combat basically. So we had to wear that during the ceremony. Now it's already pretty hot out. Now why anybody wants anybody's brains cooked in a steel pot for a change of command ceremony is beyond me. But that's what they wanted. So we're out there practicing, and we'd go around for a while, and then so basically the drill sergeants tried to make a game out of it. They would say a facing movement. We'd be marching. They'd say. They'd say something, and as long as it was kind of like Simon Says. If you didn't follow, if you turned left instead of right, for instance, okay, you're out. And, so they were trying to make it fun, right? Well, it wasn't fun enough for one particular person because he lost it. He got he took his helmet off, threw it on the ground, and he was like, I had enough, right? And it's like, to me it was like when, if you ever see, it's like, all I can say is it's like drill sergeants appeared out of nowhere. It wasn't like there was a cloud of smoke and poof, they were right there. It was like 1 minute they weren't there, next minute there was like 6 of them surrounding this guy. And it was like, everybody was like, uh-oh, this isn't going to end well for somebody. Well, they understood, eventually, after they yelled at him and, made him feel, small, basically. They, what happened, as far as I know, is they wanted him to stay in, and he agreed. He didn't want to leave the army. He was like, okay, I'll stick around. So basically they were sending him to therapy, we think, if I remember correctly. That was he was going to talk to somebody because he was doing quite well for a long time. We were about 2 weeks, right? So the time goes, it doesn't seem like it goes fast enough, but eventually, before you know it, basic training is coming to an end, and the end of that is in sight, and you're graduating basic training, which in theory means you'll have a little bit more freedom because now you're a soldier, and they will grant you a little bit more freedom on your in the evening or on the weekends or whatever. So because it was so hot, we would get up well before the dawn when in theory the temperature was cooler, so we could do our physical fitness training. So it'd be out there 3:34 in the morning, something like that, and doing our physical fitness training. And so you go to this big sand pit, and everybody spreads out, and you do your stretches, and then you do partner assisted exercises. So you would do elevated push-ups, where your buddy, basically you put your legs on his back, and he secures your feet, and then you're doing push-ups, right? It's working different muscle groups, basically. And I'll never forget this. Our first sergeant was walking around That one particular morning when we were out there doing PT, and he's just going around, looking at people, saying hi to them, good morning, because there was people that he, I guess, had interacted with during training, so he kind of knew who some of us were. The rest of us were just faces, kind of thing. And so he says good morning to this one particular soldier, and the soldier, while he's doing his push-ups, stops, looks up at the first sergeant, and says point blank, "F you, first sergeant." Just like that. Not even like, good morning, oh, by the way, just straight up F you. So first sergeant just turned around, walked away, shaking his head. Now, at that point, they came to the conclusion that this guy was not going to make it in the Army. There was no sense in wasting any more time and effort on him. So they decided, okay, fine, you're done. This isn't going to work. We thought it would, but it's not going to, obviously. So he's getting thrown out the Army. Well, not thrown out, but he's getting discharged, right? They're like, hey, the marriage didn't work. We're going to annul the marriage. It's fine. You go your way, we'll go our way, and everybody would be okay with it. This knucklehead, he gets everything approved. Now, there was a couple, when we got there, there was some people who were waiting. They had gotten injured or whatever. Oh, there, hey, Texan 1's with me. Every once in a while, if I don't check. Ta-da! So Texan 1, now that the beta's over, Texan 1 can fly along. So basically what happened, so there was a lot of people who were waiting to be discharged. They had been injured. They were waiting to go through physical therapy, to try to take the physical fitness test again, that sort of thing. And so there was like that dude and two other guys they were done with the Army. The Army, everybody came to the agreement that, hey, it's fine. We're going our own ways. These idiots decided. Now this is the kicker, right? They decided to bust into the company office area and steal. They took typewriters, phones, whatever they thought they could sell at a pawn shop to get money. They grabbed it. Well, waiting for them at the main gate, because there was, I think there's only one, in theory, there's only one way on and off the base, and that's through the main gate. MPs are waiting for them at the main gate. So, instead of leaving the Army and going their own way, they got arrested and got sent to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas to do hard time for trying to steal from the government. It's like, what world would that make sense for you to do that? You're leaving the Army, just go, it's fine. But what would possess you to think, you know what, I think I'm going to break into this office area and steal a bunch of stuff and try to get it, try to sell it somewhere at a pawn shop, not realizing it's got markings that say U.S. government somewhere on there. They got stickers and whatnot. It's just like, that doesn't make any sense. He was here. Oh, there he is. So they got arrested, got sent to Fort Leavenworth, which is a military prison. And so that's where they had to stay. I don't know how long they had to stay for. I don't think it was like a life sentence, but it was long enough that, you're going to not want to ever do that again, from my understanding. So anyway, we graduate basic, right? And you're back in the day, your most prized possession generally was your Walkman. So I'm kind of dating myself, but I'm not going to confirm dates, right? But generally, most everybody, you had a portable cassette player, right? Whether it was the Sony Walkman or whatever you had, that was like your thing, right? Because you can put your headphones on and, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? So I had gotten one once we graduated basic. I went over to the PX and I got one, right? And let me let this go through. Oh, let me try to get a. How much farther we got to go? 65. Okay. So basically, I got this Walkman, because we've got the freedom. We can listen to music in the evening, and you know, which was a big deal because you hadn't had anything. Where did Texan go? Oh, he's way above me. So we didn't, you didn't have any sense of yourself during basic. It was all about being a member of the team, that sort of stuff, right? So I slept on the top bunk. Now, back then there was no two-person rooms that were all nice and like dorms like at college or whatever. It was an open bay. There was no AC. The only AC we had was essentially a big metal fan, blowing air to try not to be, to try to keep the air moving. So I, listened to my Walkman. I was getting ready to go to sleep. I took my Walkman off, stuffed it into my boots on top of my wall locker because you had to have your footwear displayed at the top of your wall locker, right? So we get up in the morning and we're doing a road march. Now there was 3 road marches. Actually, there was 3 for basic, and then so this was like another just typical sort of thing where we're gonna go out here and do this road march. I think it was like a 12-miler or something like that, right? It seems like it's much longer. Hey Texan. So we go we go out on the road march. We're out walking, and it suddenly dawns on me like, uh-oh, I left my Walkman in my boot. I'm like, oh, well, all right. I'm looking around like everybody that could possibly do a barracks inspection is here right now. So I'm like, I think I'm safe. I'm like, I'm safe, right? Nothing's going to happen. Well, leadership can be sneaky. Like, first sergeant disappeared. At some point, disappears. Goes back to the barracks, does a barracks inspection. We get back. We cannot go back into the barracks. Why? Because part of it was people had what was considered contraband, like cigarettes or, food that they weren't supposed to have, stuff like that. And then he holds up my Walkman, and I'm like, fuck. Just like that, fuck. So I go up there to claim my Walkman, and so then, to make matters worse, they say, well, everybody's lost their privileges. You can thank all these people right here who didn't do the right thing. So of course, now people turn against you because they believe that they lost whatever quote unquote rights they had, thanks to um, your silliness, your inability to follow the rules, whatever. So, so yeah, and people I knew were like, that's not. There's no truth to that. They were going to take that stuff away anyway. It's just that they used what you did as an excuse to do it. I had some people who were like, we're not mad at you. They were going to do this anyway. It's just that this is a convenient way for them to do it without looking like assholes. So, so, anyway, and eventually people got over it, because they're like, yeah, it's not really your fault. It's, it is what it is. But it's weird that how quickly people that you had been close to the entire time suddenly view you as public enemy number one over something like that. And it's just like, wow, it's weird because normally, like, we go to, oops, I'm going to try to get a picture of Texas right here. So when you go to chow, right? Everybody, especially in your platoon, you're high-fiving each other as you're walking in, trying to keep the esprit de corps going, sort of thing. So, but when nobody wants to give you the high five, you're just like, dang, this sucks. But it's interesting how quickly the dynamic changes over something like that. And that they convince people that you were the worst of the worst because of what you did, even though it wasn't like it was intentional. It was just like you were listening to music at 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night or whatever, and then you sorry, there we go. They so yeah, it was strange. Oh, where did Texan go? Oh, there he is. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, it was very weird how they did that and convinced people that you were the reason behind all that. So there you go. There's the stories. The end. Did you enjoy that, baddies? Are you still here, Joseph, or did you fall asleep because you were like, "Oh, this is kind of a sad story. I can't stay awake for it." But I will say, I mean, combat engineer was my first job in the Army. Of the jobs I had, I like being a medic, but there is something to be said about walking across a bridge that you helped build. There's something about that is quite amazing. Because it takes time, and it's a team effort, because when you construct a Bailey bridge, oh no, well, no, Jody, I don't know if in the cadets, like, for us, we had two pairs of boots. So you had one that was like your display, but you were supposed to change them out, right? They were basically the same boot type, but it was, you had your highly polished boots for your display, but then after a while you're like, okay, I gotta rotate and put the other boots, put the boots up, but no, it was like after that we once we were finally released and we were released back to our platoon sergeants, all that stuff was collected up and it was put back in our personal effects box until they decided to. They did eventually. It was just like everybody said that there was something happening that they were going to do it anyway. So, but it was just that. Oh yeah, it looks fantastic, Texan. I don't know that well, on the Xbox, I don't know that I have the radar stuff yet, but hopefully when WASM, whenever that does arrive, we'll have that ability. But yeah, it is pretty amazing. I like it. It just looks fantastic, I think. But yeah. So the Bailey Bridge, if oh, well, I see you too. Yeah, you're. Oops. Yeah, you're marked right there. It looks like. It says like a +0 or something like that. I think that's what that's supposed to be. I don't know. Maybe not. I know. Oh, maybe over here, perhaps. Oh yeah, yep. There it is. So it just shifted. So I'm guessing that's supposed to be you. I don't know, but yeah, there's. I think. Oops. It's if you go to map options, and then go to. See, I don't know. Is that? That's not weather. Is it? That's different. I don't know what that's supposed to be. It's off. And then topo. And then I think it's the same thing over here. You just go to your PFD option. Or your, not that one, it's your, this map option as well. Well, that's like relief terrain or something. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, there is a marker for you on there. Almost stalled out. But yeah, so the Bailey Bridge. I know I've been talking about my arm and stuff, but let me put this in the link here for those of you who want to learn more about Route 66. There's a link there that talks about the different layouts and all that kind of stuff. What was I gonna say? So yeah, look up Bailey Bridge, and I mean it takes some time to build it because you have to bring in, there's parts that have to be built together, and then you keep advancing the bridge across the gap and adding more to it, and you got to put the decking down and all that. It's quite a thing when you do make it happen that you can walk across it and say, I helped build this. It's quite a feeling. But anyway, so there we are. That's story time for today. The end. I need to take my vitamins. But I figured Addies would get a kick out of that. He's probably sitting over there laughing his butt off. Oh, thank you, R. Corrales 95. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Didn't mean to ignore that. I did see that pop up, so thank you for the follow. So did that meet your story standards there, Addies? Or did I come up short? I never know with Joseph. He's very picky, like his cat. All right, we are 38 nautical miles from our nav point there. So we took, I when I was looking at the fact that Route 66 does run to the north of Fort Lost in the Woods, I don't know that we took like this, when we drove from the airport in St. Louis to Fort Lost in the Woods, it was so dark and you were so tired and you were so scared that you didn't notice anything else. You were just kind of like thinking, what have I got myself into? So we may have been on that part of Route 66, and I just didn't never know it. But after we leave Springfield, eventually we'll be able to follow the route for sure, and it won't, because I think we're out of basically the urban areas where it would go through the town basically, and then it was always moved over different times of different decades, I should say, as towns changed. But thank you, Texan, for popping in and flying along. Nice to see that you've made it out of the beta alive. Yeah, it was quite a long process to download everything. Well, it wasn't too long. I mean, my internet moved fairly quickly, so it wasn't like I was waiting all evening for it to download, but it was just a lot to go back through and make sure I had everything updated. So yeah, seems pretty good. I mean, for clear skies though, there's something a bit weird about this, but there's just high cloud covers. We can still see the ground if there's any points of interest that we can. Yeah, I mean, it was just the first part didn't it moved fairly quickly, and then it was just going through. And what I did was I downloaded each individual world update. I didn't like click them all at once and wait for them. I'm like, let me just do them one at a time. That way, if anything, there's a hiccup or it lags, I know exactly where I left off at. So, yeah, it's just, it's good that it's finally here. Now today, hopefully we get a nice marketplace update. Now, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be a bit disappointed, maybe more than a bit disappointed, if the marketplace comes out Little hazy early morning. Okay. Nice. If the marketplace comes out and all we get is airports and sceneries after it was delayed from last week, that's not going to look good. I'm just going to be upfront. It's not going to. No, there better be some fantastic stuff that we didn't get from last week in this week's update. I hope. You know, and I was thinking about this yesterday. I think it would have gone a long way, and this is just my personal opinion. But if I'd been the Microsoft team, I would have said, you know, let's not wait to Thursday for the marketplace update. Let's just push it today, as a sign of goodwill that we understand that people are upset and all that. Just let's kind of help move on from it. But you know, I know that's something. That's a decision that they would have to make, and maybe it's not an easy decision. I don't know, but I think that would have been a nice sort of peace offering, I guess. I don't know. But no, I'm really looking forward. I hope tonight's marketplace I'm hoping we get some updates to products in general that we already have. That stuff, there's stuff that like I haven't been waiting for the Islanders got a complete rework. I've been waiting on that one for quite some time, so hopefully that comes tonight. Hopefully, because I do want to get back to flying that plane when we fly general aviation stuff on Fridays. So tomorrow we will be in the Cessna 414 AW. We are departing from Hayward Executive, my hometown airport, as I like to call it, my actual hometown airport. And we're heading up the coast to Eureka. We're going to fly up the coast, and then we're going to come in over the Pacific Ocean, land. We're going to kind of have to do what we did yesterday with the Junkers 52. We're going to have to kind of come in a little bit flat. The runway we're coming in on, there's a slight uphill, so that will help slow us down, but we're going to try to nail the landing a bit better so that we can get, because it's not a very long runway, so hopefully we can get on the ground, get the plane under control, pull it off the runway, and call it a day. So yeah, I'm really pleased with yesterday's landing. That worked out a lot better than I expected it to, but we almost still came in a little too steep. You know, that was a bit of a challenge, but so yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. 7:10 Eastern, 11:10 UTC, 12:10 UK. If you want to fly along, you're more than welcome to. The route information will be forthcoming on the Discord. If you want to fly along, if you don't have the Cessna 414, it's okay. The Beechcraft King Air 350i should be just as comparable, I imagine. So if you want to fly along the coast of California, heading up north along the coast, you're more than welcome to. We'll probably just have a few clouds for that flight, just so that it looks a little bit, you know. So I don't know what we'll try live weather. Maybe live weather is okay. I'll have a look at it. I'll check out the weather forecasts. See if maybe we'll have an epic early morning flight. We'll try to adjust the time that when we take off, the sun's just coming up and we have some nice color in the clouds or something. Boy, it is raining. Oh man. I tell you what, I almost canceled the flight today. Because at about 2 o'clock this morning, Hey, Ventral Squid, how are you? Nice to see you. I'm doing okay, thanks. Yeah, about 2 o'clock this morning we had lightning. No thunder, just lightning. And it was like somebody was outside my bedroom window turning on a high beam flashlight for a second or two, turning it off, turning it on again. I'm like, oh my god. So it woke me up because, it was like somebody was trying to get my attention or something. And so yeah, it's been raining for most of the morning now. So Amella's getting this storm eventually. Surprised Amella's not here. And then maybe Amella's lurking. Yeah, doing well, Vengeful Squid. Doing well. Why, Texan? Why does it look like your flaps are still down, like at 10% or something? Oh, maybe it was an optical illusion. I don't know. Oh, awoken by rave. Never pairs well with coffee. All right, 18.9 nautical miles. Oh. Well, it just looked like from when you flew by, it looked like your flaps were still down. So it's just a glitch in the model, I guess. I was just like, maybe you forgot to put your flaps up. Sorry, folks. I tried to make it where I don't know, because Twitch does its own thing sometimes. I tried to make it where there was only a small portion of ads, but it's either I do small portions, but they're more frequent, or I do a bunch at one time, and then there's larger. I can see you, can't hear you. Well, yeah, because the ads, you can't hear me during the ads, but you can see me. Well, that's weird. Okay. Huh. I'm not muted. Yeah. Just trying to keep the lights turned on here. Good old Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. It's not easy and it's not cheap. It doesn't do well taking it out for a what do you call it, a Happy Meal. It's not a cheap date. All right, we're almost there. Let's see, right there is our nav point, our VOR. Yeah, that's the drawback of being an affiliate is, well, I wouldn't say it's a drawback, it's just one of those necessary evils. I guess I could, well, I don't know if I can completely turn off ads, because then whatever money I get, the money coming in would drop significantly. So I apologize about the number of ads. Yeah, see, from here, it does look like, well, I don't know, maybe it was just an optical illusion, or maybe I thought I saw them still down, but, hello, Flight movie you're showing back there, nothing but ads. I'll take the jump next time I get 9 in a row in flight. Okay. I'm sorry, Vengeful Squid. I tried to find a good balance. They have tried to find a Twitch themselves for the affiliates have tried to find a sensible ad sort of thing. So I appreciate that. Yeah, it's one of those things that sometimes it seems Twitch has its own agenda that I have no control over. So we're coming near Fort Lost in the Woods. We're going to continue on. We got to make a slight deviation on the heading of 244. Not too much off of this, and then we'll make our way to Springfield, Missouri, Branson, Springfield Airport, to serve the highly touristy area of Branson, Missouri. Mick, I think you'd fit in there with your Stetson and cowboy boots there in Branson. Even if you're British, they'd be like, "Hey, cowboy from the UK, you're welcome here, sir." So yeah, this is going to be the difficult part today. I'm going to have to find something to kind of keep my time, waste some time until later this evening for the edge of your seat update for the marketplace. What are we getting? What are we not getting? What's going to happen? Is it going to be a hit or a miss, or is it going to be somewhere in between? No, I'm serious. They would have been. Honestly, you show up in Branson, Missouri, I think, in your cowboy boots and Stetson. They would. Hey, you're more than welcome there. I think you would be a hit, especially being from the UK. And they're like, a cowboy from the UK. Or do it anymore? Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, but it's like sometimes. It's, like last week when they dragged it out all the way till 8 o'clock East Coast time, right? And sometimes I feel like, okay, maybe something good's getting ready to happen. We're going to get another surprise like the Cessna 414. And then when I read it, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm the kind of person, it's like ripping off the Band-Aid. It's going to hurt, just rip it off. Just get the pain over with. Just if it's going to hurt, it's going to hurt. If you got bad news, just get it out there, right? People are going to be upset no matter what. Just rip off the Band-Aid, let the bleeding begin. People will heal up. Everything will, eventually people will calm down. It's fine. Just don't drag it out, because then people are like, well, maybe we're going to get something amazing. And then when you're like, well, sorry, but just if you got bad news, just say the bad news. Don't make people wait. Just get the bad news out. That's how I look at it. I think that's a better policy than like, well, let's just drag it out as long as possible. And then when we're getting ready to leave, oh, by the way, we're leaving for the day, but sorry, but I think that doesn't look good. Just if you got bad news, just say the bad news. People are going to get emotional. People are going to say some stupid crap, and the moderators are going to have to keep an eye on the forums, and when people say some ridiculously stupid stuff. But let the dog out in its trash day. Ah, nice. There's one woman who moved in here recently. She's got 2 dogs that it's like, it doesn't matter if it's raining or whatever. Like I felt bad. A couple of days ago it was raining and the dogs wanted to go outside. Like she thought they had to go to the bathroom, and they just wanted to stand out in the rain. I'm like, man, you're gonna have the smell of wet dog in the house now. Oh no. There we are, over Fort Lost in the Woods, a state of misery. I couldn't even begin to tell you where I was because I'm sure it's changed a lot since I was here many moons ago. Um, I kind of feel like the only thing that seems to me that is something that I can pick out and say I think this is this. There's a parade field right here. I think we were at that parade field for our basic graduation and for that change of command ceremony that we had to learn. And I think these are all barracks right here. But they're probably modernized to some extent. Because a lot of them probably had asbestos, a lot of lead paint, all that nasty stuff. So, but yeah, I'm almost positive that's the parade field that we were at. My folks did come for my basic graduation. And they had parking and all that. Alright. Let's see. It's almost time to... Yeah, I could... I'd be mad if you think the dog's got to go outside and they just stood there in the rain looking around. Doo-doo-doo. No. Either you go potty or we're going back in. And you're gonna go to the bathroom and you're gonna sit in there until you dry off because I'm not gonna have that smell. All right, heading a 244. I do appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out today on this Thursday. Can't believe September's almost over. Goodness gracious, where did the time go? Daddies, you need to stop the clock. You need to slow it down. You're young enough. Slow it down. Welcome back, Texan. Mick, I've been playing anything new. No, not really. Well, no, let me take that back. I did play Train Sim World 3. Kind of a bit of another story time. So when I was in Afghanistan, there's only so much, because you're trying to find things to take your mind away from the fact that you're far away from home. And for whatever reason, and I don't know what it was, I just suddenly got on the SIP panel work. Oh yeah, I heard that, Texan. I don't know if I've ever used the SIP panel, but maybe I have. I don't remember. But anyway, I started reading about railroads and getting interested in railroading. And so I was reading stuff about different railroads in the history of America, some of which don't exist anymore today. They've all been kind of put under, either CSX, Norfolk Southern, BNSF, or Union Pacific. And, but I'm reading, like there's all kinds of stuff, especially the steam-powered trains, the Union Pacific big boys and, it's fascinating. All the technology that they used, and then the diesel engines came out, and they came out at a time where it's like, you think, when I think diesel engine, I think like, that's something like in the late 70s. Not a monopoly. Yeah, no, not monopoly. Yeah, exactly, not a monopoly. But they so I just started reading all this stuff, and then I started, like, man, they're railroad museums, right? And I kept hearing about the big railroad museum in Union, Illinois. really want to go there. And I did when I drove cross country after we got back from Afghanistan. I drove to Union, Illinois, went there. It's a huge property. Like, they got so much stuff. They have so much stuff that they're trying to raise money to put anything over the locomotives that are just sitting there rusting. And they have some just amazing steam engines that are just rusting away because they don't have enough money to build any kind of structure over those locomotives, which is sad, because it's part of our history, right? I didn't know, but my great grandfather on my mom's side worked for the railroad in Illinois. I can't remember yes, I did go to Roanoke actually last year, Vengeful. If you go to the link on my actually, if you go to I think, did I download it? Was able to. I did do a video. I did some live streams from the Roanoke. Yeah. I did go to the museum there. I was disappointed because of 611, which I really wanted to write on. I was like, man, this thing's amazing, right? Because it was in Spencer, North Carolina, and I visited that railroad museum when they were working on it, and they pulled it out for display when they had the Streamliner get together there at the Spencer, North Carolina museum. They pulled out 611, and people were just like, it was amazing. So I wanted to ride, and then when I got to Roanoke, I said, well, I want to buy a ticket to ride on the 611. Well, it's not here. What do you mean it's not here? Well, there's been a big brouhaha with Norfolk Southern, and oh yeah. See, I thought my understanding was they shipped the 611 down to North Carolina for like maintenance and getting it in running order. But yeah, but the museum is pretty interesting. I took pictures, all over on my Flickr. It should be one of the more recent albums is the Roanoke. I went to the Transportation Museum, and then the next day was a big car show in downtown Roanoke that I went to as well. And they had a lot of classic cars, a lot of hot rods, and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And okay. Oh, wow. We still have 54 nautical miles till we talk. Can't believe we're talking to Springfield Approach this early. Yeah. The only thing that I was, because I've been to different car shows. I've been to Amelia Island Concours d'Elegance. I've been to Greenwich Concours d'Elegance. It sometimes part of it is when people see a car that they're particularly drawn to, right? And for some people, it's classic Mustangs or classic Corvettes or whatever. People crowd around, and it's like I was going through my pictures from Amelia Island the other day, and I always think about how people are like blotto drunk at 10 o'clock in the morning. Like, they are already tanked by the time the gates open, so to speak, right? Because you have VIP passes who can go in early and kind of walk around before the regular crowd gets released into the show field. But people they have no concept of anything. They're so drunk that they walk up, and I'm getting ready to take a picture, and somebody just walks right into the frame, gets all close to the vehicle, looks over it, and then looks back at me and goes like, and then, sorry. But it's like they don't even like look before they walk in there, and it's just like, dude, what the heck, you know. So, but yeah, there was a lot of great stuff. There was so much stuff to see. It was just like trying, like I zigzagged up and down the streets, and went through every bit that if there was something interesting, I took a picture of it. But there was some stuff there that was just kind of like, ugh, yeah, nah. But there was a lot of cool stuff. That's for sure. There was. But I will admit, aside from I did go to the other museum, um, the, uh, the photographer that did a lot of the photos for Norfolk Southern, or Norfolk Railroad. Um, they got the museum that has all of his pictures, and then they've got I guess like a replica of his dark room where he did all of his photography. Winston O'Link, yes, that's it. Thank you. I knew it was O something. I couldn't remember the first and last name. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed that. So yeah, that was a neat little trip. I'd always wanted to go to but I wanted to go specifically for the 611. Oh, oh, okay, nice. Yeah, I walked by there. Like I walked basically when I left the train museum. I walked downtown, stopped off somewhere, and I can't remember the name of the place, but they had a really great roast beef sandwich. So I had my energy, and I walked over to the Winston O'Link Museum, um, which was a nice walk. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't. Most people are like, oh, I'm not walking that far. It wasn't that bad. And got there, went around, and then I talked to the person working there. I don't know if he's a volunteer or whatever, but we chatted for like almost half an hour or so. I'll save you some old town train stories for train sim next time. Sounds good. Um, but yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it. Uh, yeah, I was a bit bummed about not being able to take the ride on the 611, but it is what it is. Um, but yeah, so I kind of got into railroading, and then eventually I got in, started playing Train Sim, the one before Train Sim World 2, and then Train Sim World 2 came out, and then now Train Sim World 3. Now I didn't buy anything for Train Sim World 3 because the base game minus the Steam stuff is free on Game Pass, so I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. So um, yeah, it's fine. I enjoy it. I used to be big into it, but after a while, I'm just kind of like, eh. And plus, I feel like I grew up loving aviation. Like where I grew up in the Bay Area, we had uh, Naval Air Station Alameda. Across the bay was Moffett Naval Air Station. When the carriers would come in for Fleet Week, it was always a big deal. And but I grew, Hayward's like my hometown airport. So I grew up around aviation. I always talked about the nut tree, that had a huge bookstore that was all aviation related stuff. And when they said the sim was coming to the Xbox, I'm like, oh, that's going to be amazing. And it is. It has kind of given me that feel of remembering what, being in love with aviation to begin with. And I always say, I had plans to go to San Jose State University, which has one of the best aviation programs of any university in America. But it didn't work out. And I regret that because I think I would have loved to work in the field. Not necessarily maybe be a pilot, but just to work in the aviation field in general would have been very rewarding, I think. Um, so yeah, but I like this because I can fly places that I know. Like when I fly around the Bay Area, I know where we are, and I can talk about all the places and the history and stuff like that. Um, or we can go to places that I've never been to. The you know the it's an open world. You can pretty much go anywhere you want to go, and it's up to you, to do that. Um, if that's what you want to do, and then when Viper Strike got me onto FS Hub, and then they were like, oh, if you do, I don't know that I'm going to get the achievements for it, but something like follow Route 66. It's something fun to do. It's planned, but how much you are involved in it, or what things you want to point out along the way is entirely up to you. Or if you're not streaming it, you can go like, oh, I want to circle around this. This looks pretty interesting. I wonder what that is, and so yeah, it's just I like it, and no, it's not perfect, and it probably will never be perfect, but it's given me something else other than the trains. And so now the trains, which was predominantly on my channel, have kind of taken the back seat while we fly in different aircraft and fly in different places around the world, and stuff like that. So we have 39 nautical miles, almost 38. Super nosy about the area around you. Yeah. Well, and that's like, when I started flying, and Mick was there at the beginning. He'll tell you, I flew in and out of Hayward. Like I'd take off and fly around the Bay Area a little bit, come back around and land. I mean, that was like that's where I kind of practiced at. Because everybody was talking about, oh, just do your circuits, as they call them. And so I would do that, and it was always like I would fly from an area. I knew the landmarks. I knew where everything was. So it was like, it made it a little bit easier to deal with. But yeah, it is amazing. I like it because every time I'm like, oh, I know about this place, and I've been here, and I can tell a story about it. So then I can work story time in somehow, which is great. It adds a little bit more entertainment. It's usually personal stories for me, but if it's more than that, I can basically give links and provide more context, and because it's kind of hard to like right now, okay, the autopilot's filing the plane, and we're heading towards Springfield, but it's people can do their own research, or if I provide the link, it's up to them if they want to read it or not. So yeah, Houston. I've been through Houston. I've landed at the airport in Houston, but I've never been in Houston proper. I think I've driven through Houston once. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. Probably did. Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy that part of it because I think most everybody who flies in the sim has personal stories of wherever they're flying, or they pick places that they have a personal connection to. Whether it's their family lives near there or whatever. Um, uh, so damn big. Yeah, because I think one of my peers and I drove to San Antonio to go to leadership school. We had to stop off in Oklahoma to drop his daughter off with his parents because it was during the summer and that was his time with her. But because we got orders to the leadership school there at Fort Sam, he had to drop her off with his with his parents, so she got time with the grandparents. But yeah, it did seem like we did go. It took a while to get through Houston. If we did go that way, I'm trying to remember. I think we did. Because then when we graduated leadership school, we we left there and drove towards Pensacola and stopped off at the Naval Aviation Museum there in Pensacola, which was, I had been there once when I was a kid, and it's much bigger. They got way more stuff now. It's amazing. Um, so yeah. I do want to get to an air show. There's not many options. We're running out before the end of the year, but I would like to go to an actual air show. My understanding is Oshkosh is like the Amelia Island of air shows. Like if you want to anything aircraft related, Oshkosh is the place to be. So I'd like to go for that once, just to say that I've done that. Because I still want to get, one of these days I will get to the Pebble Beach Concourse d'Elegance. To say that I've been to the two big car shows of car shows. But if I was going to do Pebble Beach, I would I would try to do it proper and get a VIP ticket so I can walk around. And then you have a nice seated area, so when the cars are brought up for judging, you can take pictures as the cars roll up. I'm going to drink some water there. My voice is starting to go. But yeah, I would like to go to Oshkosh once. That would be fantastic, I think. But I would like to go. I know there's some where they have, I think they're in Texas. They have like the Warbird um, air shows. That would be even more fun, I think. Because I would like to ride like on a B-17 or something like that, just to as something to say I did that. That'd be amazing. But it's not cheap to do, that's for sure. But the money's well worth it because it helps them keep those aircraft flying. They can buy parts and whatnot. So anyway, as I was going to say, and I kind of got off track. Mick, your uh, Minecraft was amazing last night. That was a very interesting building that you guys did. Not the building itself, but just what you did to create it. I think is, as Jody commented to me, that seems like the sort of game that you have to have a lot of patience with. Because as you pointed out, there's a lot of, you build it, it doesn't look right, you tear it down, and you start again, and you keep going until it looks right. And that's quite a does test your patience. But yeah, I like there is some science involved in it. You know, that you have to use things that aren't necessarily in the real world, but you use it to create something like the nuclear reactor. You know, so yeah, good stuff. Looking forward to seeing more what you guys are creating. Hey, Super Typhon, how are you? Nice to see you here. Hope you're well. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting game, you know, and I guess a lot of people, and I think Pulse kind of brought this point up to Joseph, was, if you have like the monsters or whatever, yeah, you're never going to get anything accomplished because you're constantly going to be attacked. But if you're able to build and just focus on that, you can create some really amazing stuff. I know people, they created football stadiums, all kinds of stuff, but it takes time. And that's the thing, that's why I asked, like, how long would it take for like the Olympic stadium that Addie's was asking about? 3 to 4 weeks, but that's like every day for 3 to 4 weeks. But how many hours can you actually, some days you may be able to spend 10 hours, and other days you may be only spend 1. But yeah, it's yeah, I think there's a sense of accomplishment when you build something, you can walk in there, or you throw the switch and the nuclear reactor works. All right, let's see how much farther we got to go. 19.4 nautical miles. But yeah, it's some great stuff. I think that's our airport up there in the distance. I might be wrong. But it's almost within the circle on our G1000 there. Garmin has some amazing products. I would have never known about any of this stuff if I wasn't flying in the sim. And I couldn't even tell you what some, I can kind of, I think I can guess what some of the stuff means, but otherwise I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Okay, let's just have a look here. It looks like we're crossing over a river. No, a river. Back there, from here, it almost looked like we were crossing over a river, but we're not. Crossing over one. I don't know. Huh. Okay. I see water, but I wasn't sure if it's something else that just looks like water, because I don't see water on here unless I'm zoomed out too much to. So now this is the funny thing. The sim said this flight was going to take 2 hours and 20 minutes, and we're approaching. Well, we've been streaming for 1 hour 40, but we've been only flying for. Do we have a time? I didn't put the timer on. We've definitely been flying maybe 1 hour 20 or so. 1 hour 25. All right, so let me call in to. I think we should be able to call into Springfield here. Not yet. We're almost there. Looks like there's a lot of small farm airports near here. But I do appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out. As always, nice to see you all here. Some old faces, new faces. Thank you all for your patronage. Hopefully you enjoyed story time. If you did, tell Addies that you enjoyed story time. We'd love to hear from you. Isn't that right, Addies? All you have to do is just type in here. Go. So there you go. Let's everybody know that. Tell Addies that you love story time. Make his day. There it is, right there. Ooh. We could fly that pattern. Why not? Alright, let's fire the autopilot. Let's turn off the heading mode first. Alright, we'll get ourselves on the ground here. Ready to call it a day. Back tomorrow on the Cessna 414 Alpha Whiskey. Sounds amazing, looks amazing. Add some cargo so we have a make sure we land. We got some weight to get us on the ground. And we'll fly this pattern. What the heck? Why not? Yeah, I would imagine so, Mick. Because like you said, it's not just throwing up a bunch of blocks. You have to really think about what you're doing. I mean, you could throw stuff up, but it's not going to look very good. You know. But it's a lot of trial and error. That's for sure. But I think too, what I notice is the more you guys are building, the better you get at it, and you kind of already know, you know, you'll be a little bit more expedient because you already know kind of how everything works. And yeah, I agree, Mick. Yeah, the different you versus the FIFA you. uh, there's Minecraft Mick and there's FIFA Mick. They're two totally different Micks. Here's our runway. Yeah, I would agree. But I think you guys are doing phenomenal right now. You know, and you're just improving with each build. I think. You know, you have a vision. You're like, well, I want to do this, and you kind of know how to make it happen. It's just you know, every so often, like when you're putting the scaffolding up, which I thought was like a metal siding on the roof. So, um, but yeah, sometimes it doesn't want to go the way you want it to go, and you have to kind of delete it and start again, you know, or demolish it, whatever you want to call it. But that's just stuff that happens, I think, in the game. That it's not anything that you're doing. It's just one of those control features that doesn't want to work as intended. Yeah, I agree. All right, let me focus on landing here so I don't crash the plane. I'll never hear the end of it from Addie's if I crash at this point. They'll send me all kinds of messages directly and tell me what a terrible pilot I am and stuff like that. I need to have my pilot's license revoked. You know, Mick will tell you, used to be I would be all over the place at this point. The plane would be up and down, left and right, all kinds of craziness. Mick misses those days. Or he had to lean on in his chair to get the plane to turn. Isn't that right, Mick? You almost spilt your latte a couple times. You had to lean so hard to the left or the right. Oof. A little bit of a hard landing. You get off the runway here so Texan can land. I think he's already on the ground. Yep, there he is. Oh, thank you, Super Typhon. That wasn't too bad of a landing. I almost stalled it. A little worried if we weren't going to make it to the edge of the runway there. Almost stalled it. Used to be the sick bag at this point, but I can lay back nowadays. Oh. Oh, they got me parking right there. Nice. Somebody's got a business jet here. Now, you know, too bad, right? Just thinking about this. You know, thank you, Joseph. In Trains to World 3, like, say we completed this flight. If we could hop out of this plane, walk over to this Cessna business jet, start it up and do another flight. That would be amazing. Instead of, like, going all the way out into the, you know, like your pilot could get out of the plane, walk over, and and then take over that aircraft. That would be fun, I think. Or, you know, like maybe there's a preloaded flight plan that takes, you know, that you just accept that flight. That would be kind of cool, I think, if they had something like that. Oh, on behalf of myself and the entire flight crew, we'd like to welcome you to Springfield, Missouri. Local time is 8:07 in the morning. Yeah, I agree, Mick. We understand and appreciate the fact that today's story time was brought to you by Joseph Adams. And we're glad that he chose to have story time today. Do join us tomorrow, 7:10 Eastern, 11:10 UTC, 12:10 UK in the Cessna 414 Alpha Whiskey. Departing from Hayward Executive, we're heading up to Eureka Murray Field, I believe is the other name of the airport up there in Eureka, Northern California. Oops. Looking forward to that flight tomorrow. I think you guys will enjoy it. Hopefully it's a bit of some nice scenery. Come on, plane, pull forward a little bit more. We're not. We're not exactly where we need to be. There we are. Now we're good. There we are, hour 37. I like it. Let me go ahead and put my 411 into FS Hub. The always lovely Firefly airline. On the Cessna 172. There we go. And we took off from KSTL at 11:20 and arrived at KSGF at 12:58. Submit. Dun, 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 dun. I'll add the picture later. Oops. Nice hours actually logged. Yeah. That's a whole nother. You know, it's funny because I have my own flight tracking log that I created on. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was good place to. So I made my own flight hour tracker, and I'm at 600. It started back in March. I was at 310. Here we are, almost the end of September. Oops. And we have a total of 600, and I think we're almost at 700. 671 total hours. The problem is that I won't get my achievement for 500 hours unless this stuff starts staying updated and all that on the in-sim log. But anyway, what can you do? Well, that will do it for today, folks. Thank you all for coming in and hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Do enjoy the rest of your Thursday, morning, afternoon, evening, early Friday, depending on where you are in the world. I have been and always shall be your host and pilot, Uncle B. Until tomorrow, peace, live long and prosper.